I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
Into the great outdoors. Men rough it and learn some valuable life lessons.
The weekend is really designed to give a man competency to be a better leader, protector, and provider.
Bishop DiMarzio goes way back into the deep to talk about his father.
When he used to go to work in the morning, he'd leave us a list of 5 or 6 words that we had to look up in the dictionary and report back to him at night what we learned, what the word meant, and how we could spell it.
And school children get an early Father's Day with their dads.
I give him surprises.
Well, good evening. Thanks so much for joining us tonight as we look ahead to Father's Day. We begin by going back to basics and into the wild of Pennsylvania.
That is where the Kingsmen, a group that we've previously met on Currents, held a special weekend, giving men a chance to brush up and, in some cases, learn skills for the outdoors.
Right. As we found out, though, when we joined them, the men who took part also learned some valuable lessons to take home.
Well, the Kingsmen really is part of our mission, which is under Christ, the King's universal call to serve. So we are men, of course, but we are under someone's authority, and that authority is Christ.
The weekend is really designed to give a man competency to be a better leader, protector, and provider. The natural call of men to lead, protect, and provide. Today's the provider day that you're here, so we're cooking, we're shooting, and different things. We're building something, giving glory to God.
I just heard into the wild, fishing, building, and just a group of like-minded men. And I said, that's for me.
So a lot of men see the Kingsmen as a real light shining in the darkness, and they want that. They see the brotherhood of men that are the Kingsmen, and they want to be a part of that. And so this is a way to integrate into that.
So to have a ministry like this that encourages men, supports them in their hunger to accept the responsibility to love their families, love their children and their spouses, is a beautiful thing.
Going into the outdoors, being shown how to swing an axe for the first time, build a fire. A lot of these men are urban guys, you know, and so they don't have that experience necessarily.
I just think the wilderness, being part of God's creation and just experiencing the faith in a very masculine way and living that out with other men, other brothers in the Lord, and just really the activities. And it's really appealing to a lot of men. There's a lot of fathers with their sons here, experiencing a unique weekend that is enjoyable for the sons because they're not simply sitting around listening to talks. Here we get men working with their hands, building something, uniting on a common purpose for the good of others, especially the men here on this weekend. But when they go home, that should be transferred over to building something good for the love of their wives, their children, and the common good as well.
It's a tough culture out there sometimes for men to know their roles or know who they are in a society. Things have changed, and sometimes men just being together for a weekend, it helps us get in our hearts who we are and sharing with each other the struggles that we all have in common.
We have found through experiences like this and so many mentors who are good, Catholic, faithful men, men can be mentored from a variety of men. On this weekend, we see even younger men, mentoring older men, and older men mentoring younger men, especially in skills in the outdoors. I think I would like for the men to realize that they have a band of brothers and that they are part of a band of brothers. And that's what guys experience on this weekend. They really unite here together and know that they are not in this journey of life alone. They are not on this path alone.
Well, the Kingsmen have many more activities that are ongoing. We have more about that over on our blog. Just head on over to currentsny.net. Click on Riding the Wave.
But stay tuned, there's much more Currents straight ahead. When we return, we'll have the day's headlines, including plans to turn a convent on Staten Island into a mosque may not go forward. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Coming up later, kids spend some quality time with Dad ahead of his big day.
But first, let's check the day's headlines. A Staten Island priest who approved the sale of a vacant convent to a Muslim group now says that he's changed his mind. Father Keith Fennessy signed off on the sale of the former convent at St. Margaret Mary Church to the Muslim American Society recently. But Father Fennessy wrote to New York Archbishop Timothy Dolan earlier this week and said that after careful consideration, he had changed his mind because he decided the sale would not serve the needs of the parish. A spokesman for the Archdiocese said the pastor does not have the power to stop the sale all by himself. 2 parish trustees would also have to vote against it. Reports say many parishioners joined local residents in opposing the sale at a public meeting last week. The Muslim American Society would not comment. It was an event Salt Lake City Bishop John Wester called barbaric. A firing squad in Utah shot and killed a convicted killer early this morning. Ronnie Lee Gardner chose that method of punishment for himself before the state banned it in favor of lethal injection. 5 gunmen pointed at the target on Gardner's chest, pulling the trigger at 12:20 a.m. local time. The 49-year-old spent 25 years on death row for the shooting death of attorney Michael Burdell in 1985 at the Salt Lake City courthouse. He was in the courthouse at the time facing charges in another murder case. Utah state leaders and the U.S. Supreme Court rejected several requests for a stay of execution. Reporters who witnessed the shooting described it afterwards.
The loudness of the guns shocked me, even though I grew up with a Winchester 30-30 in my house and shot it many times. But I think when you see it actually hit a human being and you watch them move to some extent, it was violent. And I didn't find it to be clinical at all.
He didn't hear the countdown. It just happened, and the shooting part of it was over. It was just the movement, I think, was probably the hardest thing for us.
Gardner was the 3rd person to die by rifle fire since the Supreme Court restored the death penalty in 1976. An FDA advisory board gave the green light Thursday to a controversial contraceptive known as Ella. The makers of the drug say Ella is intended for women who fear they may be pregnant and can be taken up to 5 days after sex. The drug has been marketed abroad as a morning after pill, but some pro-life leaders in this country say it should be called an abortion pill. Steve Mosher, director of the Population Research Institute, said in a published report Thursday that manufacturers of the pill were marketing it in such a way because of greed.
U.S. Catholic bishops today sent prayers and words of solidarity to people impacted by the Gulf of Mexico oil spill. In a statement released from their retreat in St. Petersburg, Florida, the bishops expressed prayerful support for the families and individuals whose lives and livelihoods have been so negatively impacted by the oil that daily contaminates water, beaches, and God's creation in the Gulf Coast area. The bishops also sent prayers to government and industry leaders working to clean up the spill and plug the gushing well. Well, the Catholic Bishops' Conference in the Philippines announced today that they excommunicated a man for posing as a priest. The bishops said Xavier Yubra de Borja claimed he had been ordained as a priest in Russia. He offered Mass, heard confession, and had gained a reputation for delivering good homilies. The fake priest reportedly attended seminary in Russia but was never ordained. He posed as a priest in the Philippines for more than a year before he was discovered to be a fraud. And finally, it is no secret the cause for sainthood of Pope Pius XII has sparked controversy among some groups who say the late pontiff did not do enough to stop the Holocaust. Nonetheless, the process continues to move forward, and a miracle is still needed for Pius to be beatified. We get details now from Rome Reports.
Benedict XVI signed a decree of heroic virtues of Pius XII in December. This is the first step toward his beatification. But a miracle realized through Pius XII's intercession must be approved for him to be raised to the altars. American author Sister Margarita Marchioni likely has written more than any other person about Pius XII. She explains a miracle that could lead to his blessing.
It's about a woman being cured of cancer in Santa Marinella, a town close to Rome. She and her husband prayed to John Paul II that she'd be cured. One night the husband had a dream. He was told that they had to entrust themselves to Pius XII for her to be cured. They did, and she was cured.
The local bishop has formed a panel to study the case. It will send documents to the Vatican if the miracle is confirmed. Physicians, theologists, and cardinals of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints will then advise the Pope whether or not he should accept the miracle.
Stay tuned. There's much more Currents coming up.
Just ahead, Bishop DiMarzio remembers his dad.
He wanted us to be educated,
Yeah.
and didn't have a lot of education himself, but he knew what needed to be done.
Welcome back. Well, this Father's Day, a large number of families in this country are growing up without a father. According to the UN, about 1 in 5 children in the United States lives in a home with only a mother.
One area where dads can be critically important is developing a child's faith. And that's something that Bishop DiMarzio talked about recently when the two of us went into the deep. Well, Bishop DiMarzio, thank you so much once again, sir, for being here. We appreciate it. We're talking today, of course, about Father's Day. So many families today are growing up, so many children growing up with absent fathers. As we, go to celebrate Father's Day, we're reminded of that just by looking around us and if we talk to our friends and see how many families are in that situation. What can be done in these situations as far as absent fathers go?
Yeah. There was a book written about 5 years ago called Fatherless America. And it was a sociological study of the lack of fathers in families and what the results are. And there really are terrible results when there's no father in a family, no father figure, and no person present in a family. What can be done is perhaps, and there's been some movements, and especially religious circles, about men's ministry, which really emphasize the place of men in a family as fathers and as husbands. I think that's really important, that we encourage the men to see their role as fathers and as husbands as part of their life commitment. It isn't, again, just a role, it's a commitment, it's a vocation, and it's so critical to the well-being of other people. We see what happens when there are no fathers in families. We see how the children suffer, how they have so many deficits that they need to overcome in later life. So emphasizing the religious meaning of fatherhood, I think, is really important in our society today.
When you talk about the programs, available through religious groups and things like that, I actually was one of my very first stories that I did a little over a year ago when I first came here. Was a program called Man Up, and is basically telling fathers, young fathers, to man up and take responsibility for this child that is theirs. So for people like them, or fathers who are there, what can a father do to help further their child along as far as their faith goes, as far as their religion goes?
Nothing but example is what they can do, and that's the most important thing. Is if they want to train their child to be a baseball player, well, they take them out and play catch and try to bat and things like that. If you want the person to be religious, you have to exercise that, not only by going to church on a Sunday, but by the way the family lives, by the family prayer. All of those things have an impact and will remain with those children for the rest of their lives. They model. That's what children do. They learn the basics before they're 6 years old. And if they see, a father who is a religious man, most probably they'll become religious men themselves if it's a genuine religious atmosphere.
Yeah. Now, as we approach Father's Day here, what do you have as far as advice goes for fathers who might be watching out there today?
Well, I think enjoy your fatherhood. It's a great gift from God to be able to see yourself in another person. Some fathers are kind of mirror images, or the children are mirror images of the father, and I think that's just so great to see that. But every child looks up to a father, and that's such a great responsibility, such a joy. So I think enjoy fatherhood.
Yeah. And one more thing, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. When we did the tribute show to you not all that long ago with your 40th anniversary of the priesthood, we showed on screen a picture of you standing with your family when you were a child, and your father was there, and I said, Bishop DiMarzio looks so much like his dad. It's very true. I was like, my goodness, the resemblance is just,
it's striking.
uncanny. It is. Tell us a little bit about your dad before we wrap things up here and your relationship.
Well,
with him.
he was a great man, and you know, he was a good father, and he tried to model the best of things. I mean, he was very concerned about, as me and my brother growing up together, we're about the same age. My sister came later, and one of the things I remember he did when he used to go to work in the morning, he'd leave us a list of 5 or 6 words that we had to look up in the dictionary, write them in a book, and report back to him at night what we learned, what the word meant, and how we could spell it. He took that kind of interest in his sons, you know, because he wanted us to be educated, and didn't have a lot of education himself, but he knew what needed to be done. So, you know, I think those kind of things, anybody could be a good father if you want to be, if you can try to be with your children. And he had to work a lot, but when he wasn't there, we knew this was, I had to do for Dad.
There you go.
Make sure I did that. So those things are important. I never forget.
Absolutely. All right. Well, great to hear that. Thank you so much, Bishop DiMarzio, for joining us here once again. So great to hear that. And yeah, he looks just like his dad. and he readily admits it. He's like, it's a striking resemblance. But it's so good to know, too, that his dad was, even though he couldn't be there with him physically all the time, he knew that he had to take an interest in his children. And he knew that he had, especially in their education, because as the bishop said, he wasn't, you know, a very educated man himself, so he wanted his kids to have something maybe that he didn't have, and, you know, be better off down the road for it.
Yeah. Some of you may know, some of you may not. I grew up pretty much without a father, but my grandfather was sort of my father figure, and grew up in sort of that time of, you know, that strong Italian Catholic Bishop DiMarzio kind of, you know, feel. And he was a very stern man. Took me to church, tagged me along when I was a little kid. You know, I was always the little peanut running around, you know, with the pews with him. And it's true, you do have that formative, you know, time when you're with him. So a lot of kids, I guess my point is, are raised by grandparents as well, and by grandfathers as well, in the absence of fathers, and they certainly can get their due and have a terrific influence on a child's life as well.
That's so true. And I've been lucky to have a great dad, and you know, I wish him a very happy Father's Day while we're here talking about it beforehand. So.
Well, stay with us. We will be right back.
When we return, it's Daddy Daycare for a day, as a local school gives fathers some extra quality time with their kids.
It's our one day that we get to have some peace and honor, and it should feel good.
All right, well, if you haven't picked out the perfect tie for Father's Day, you still have time to do that. Just a little bit last-minute shopping. But, you know, you might be looking for something that is a little bit more valuable, something every dad is going to love. And this gift is going to always fit. It's going to always be in style as well. So forget the tie. Just put a little M in there and give some time.
Yeah, and a pair of Yankees tickets maybe, or Mets tickets. No. And
or Braves tickets.
Time is exactly what some kids gave their dads at St. Stanislaus Kostka School in Maspeth, and dads were recently invited to spend the day with their pre-K kids, and we dropped by to spend some time there with them as well.
We had a Daddy and Me celebration. I know Father's Day is coming up very soon, and we wanted to do something special for all the dads. And as you could probably see from some of the video, not all dads could make it because daddies do work and they couldn't make it, but moms were allowed to come too, or grandmas, whoever could make it. And we just went down to the park to spend a nice day with them and tell them how much we care about them and just have a good time.
For me, it's a break in the monotony of everyday life. You know, it means a lot to me to be here for the kids, and I'm sure it's special for the kids to have some time with their dads and their moms at school. Sort of something for all of us to feel proud about.
Well, I think it's very important for parents to see what their kids are doing in school, and it's also important to share what their kids' friends are and the other parents, to see what the kids play with, you know, how the teacher is and how they interact with the other children. I think it's very important, especially for the kids. They really like having their fathers or their moms with them, coming to the park with the whole class. They really like that.
Well, I think they had a chance to spend good, quality time with their children. A lot of times parents are busy with work and things like that, and it's hard to get an opportunity to go to the park and play, and that's all they really want to do at this age, in the preschool level. They want to spend time. They like running around with mom and dad and having, fun.
It's a special thing. They usually throw, for when it comes to Easter, Christmas, stuff like that, It's fun when you get the family, the mothers and fathers together on a day like this to spend their time with the kids. They like it, with the other kids. It's pretty cool.
The mothers seem to get honored almost every single day. It's our one day that we get to have some peace and honor, and it should feel good. Everyone surrounds their interest towards you.
And they do come in talking about their dads all the time. And I know just from the looks on their faces today, they were really excited to spend time with their dads. So I think moms have a certain role and dads have a certain role. And I think the children appreciate each one for their individual roles.
If you had $1 million, what would you get your daddy for Father's Day?
A big motorcycle for him. A helicopter. Car. A newspaper. A motorcycle. And I give him surprises.
I'd give him $1 million. We would go, I don't know, we would just go and have fun. Whatever he wants to do, I would definitely, spend all the money I can on him. I don't think he needs any more ties.
Not $1 million worth of ties, please.
No. But I love the little girl that said surprises.
Yes.
She said, I'll give my daddy surprises for Father's Day. So that's the best thing, right? She might make some artwork, maybe cook him some muffins or something. Who knows what she's going to do.
$1 million worth of surprises. I love it. But there was one little girl, too, that said she would buy a newspaper. I love that.
Yeah, make sure that you're informed and up with the currents of the day.
I know. It's almost, I think, because, we talk so much about how new technology is kind of taking over and the newspaper business has been kind of in trouble. I wonder if maybe she's going to buy like an antique newspaper since they're so, old now.
A lot of motorcycles, helicopters, and other gadgets out there. I know a lot of guys like gadgets. Just get them, a gift certificate to Best Buy or something?
Give me like $1 million worth of, I don't know, iPhones or something. The new one just
stock in Apple. Okay, whatever. Okay. Well, that is it for tonight. Remember, you can always catch us online at currentsny.net, and you can also check out our Facebook page as well. Until next time, I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Matt McClure. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night, a great weekend, and happy Father's Day.